under his imaginary gaze while he was in fact somewhere else, inaccessible. The sight of him driving towards the park in Sceaux, or the wood in Vincennes, with the windows down and the radio at full volume, haunted me. One day, in a television weekly, I began reading about a troupe of Cuban dancers who were on tour in Paris. The author of the article stressed the sensuality and permissiveness of Cuban women. A photograph showed the dancer who had been interviewed, tall, with dark hair, her long legs exposed. As I read on, my intuition grew stronger and stronger. By the time I had finished the article, I was convinced that A, who had been to Cuba, had met the girl in the photograph. I imagined them together in a hotel room, and nothing at that point could have persuaded me that this scene was improbable. On the contrary, the very idea that it had not taken place seemed to me absurd, inconceivable. When he rang to arrange a meeting, his long-awaited call had no effect on me, and I remained locked in the same state of anxiety as before. My condition was such that not even the sound of his voice could make me happy. It was all infinite emptiness, except when we were together making love. And even then I dreaded the moments to come when he would be gone. I experienced pleasure, like a future pain. I longed to end the affair, so as not to be at the mercy of a phone call, so as not to suffer, realizing at once what this would entail, seconds after the separation, a series of days with nothing to wait for. I preferred to carry on at any cost. Let him have another woman, or even several. In other words, accepting a torment far greater than the one that made me want to leave him. Compared to such emptiness, my present situation seemed enviable, and my jealousy a sort of frail privilege which I would have been mad to want to end, since one day it would end anyway, outside my control, when he would leave the country, or would decide to stop seeing me. I avoided opportunities of meeting him in public, in the company of other people, as I couldn't bear the thought of seeing him just for the sake of it. Therefore, I didn't go to an inauguration to which he had been invited, obsessed by his image throughout the evening, smiling, showering a woman with attentions, the same way he had behaved with me when we first met. Afterwards, I was told that only a handful of people had turned up. I was relieved and took pleasure in repeating the expression, as if there existed a link between the atmosphere of a party, the number of women invited, and what could only be dictated by chance circumstances. In other words, his desire or not to flirt, in which case a single woman was enough. I tried to find out what he did in his spare time and where he went away for the weekend. I would say to myself, right now he's in Fontainebleau Forest, he's out running, he's driving towards Deauville, he's sitting on the beach next to his wife, and so on. This knowledge comforted me. I felt that if I could locate him in a particular place at a particular time, I would be immune to an infidelity on his part. A similar belief, equally deep-rooted, leads me to believe that knowing where my sons are, at a party or on holiday, is enough to save them from an accident, drugs, or drowning. I didn't want to go away on holiday that summer, and wake up in the morning with the prospect of having to spend a whole day without waiting for his phone call. But giving up my holiday would have meant spelling out my passion to him more eloquently than by saying, "I am crazy about you." One day, seized by the desire to break up, I decided instead to book a train ticket and a hotel room in Florence for a date 2 months ahead. This type of separation suited me perfectly, as it meant I didn't have to leave him. I anticipated the moment of my departure, the way I would have anticipated an exam for which I had enrolled long in advance and failed to study, with despondency and a feeling of hopelessness. Lying on my bunk in the sleeping car, I kept seeing myself in that same train, this time heading back towards Paris 8 days later. The promise of supreme happiness, almost too good to be true. I might die in Florence, I might never see him again, increased my horror at moving further and further away from Paris.